couple form techniques. And with regards to highlight a couple form techniques and a couple things I didn't get a chance to go over this week about a lot of the exercises I shared. So let's talk about the urinary urge and frequency where hip rotation and abduction are weak. And usually you get a lot of rotator activation because the rotators lie underneath the glute med and they work together when you're doing abduction. So that's the leg moving away from the body. And I really want to point out, I hope you're not skipping over the side lying leg lift. Now, I like to call those the Denise Austin exercises. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, okay, that's too easy. But what I want to point out is that in numerous studies, they have found the side lying leg lift to create the highest EMG activation of the muscle. Like multiple times they've found this, and higher EMG, more muscle activation, more muscle fiber fatigue, greater strength gains from. With that said, if you're scrolling Instagram and you're maybe not in the therapy field or exercise field, you still might notice that there's a lot of this like, don't do clamshells and this, that, and the other thing. There's better exercises, or that's not functional. I think it's nuanced conversation amongst professionals, but for the average person, I still find a lot of value in these exercises because, you know, when you work with people, you see that if they can't understand how to activate their outer hip muscle or their glutes in a side-lying activity, their ability to find that in a lateral walking squat or these other higher level activities is not really transferring well. So I want you to know there's still lots of value in exercises like the side-lying leg lift and clamshells and so on, and basic bridges, because for me, I really firmly believe that so we want our core to stabilize as our body part is moving away. So the further away from our center of gravity, the more we need our core to turn on to stabilize our spine so that arm can do its job or that leg can do its job, right? So I'm going to inhale, exhale, lift from the pelvic floor up. As I lift, I want to feel my outer glute and my core contracting at the same time at the furthest distance away, and this is working together. Inhale, lengthen again, exhale, lift. Okay, so side lying leg lift, you can add weights, you can lie on a bench, and then you can get some extra range of motion and let that leg dip below the level of the bench and come back up. So those are some great weights. I also showed a side plank, and you can do both variations, but we're going to lift not from the obliques, we're lifting from the outer glute. So I'm pushing through the outer blade of my foot to get. Okay, so this would be the modified version, and the full version would be a full plank. Okay, so that's a pretty advanced version. So if you're struggling on that other level, I highly suggest you come back to the modified plank. And again, I'm pushing through the outer blade of my foot and through my knee to activate through that outer hip. Now, you might want to check, a lot of people often roll this way, so you really want to square the hips. It'll almost feel like you're like leaning forward, but you're actually going to be stacked. So you can lift and lower, inhale, exhale. And as I'm doing that, it's outer hip, core together. Or you can do a static hold, or you can hold and lift your leg, or you can do the lift and lower. And then doing all of that in a full side plank would be the next progression or most difficulty. Since I'm on the floor, let's hit the, we used to call this the flying squirrel. But my knees are together, I'm going to rotate externally, and I'm going to squeeze my heels together. As I squeeze my heels together, I'm squeezing my butt. So this would usually be a starting place of inhale, exhale, the core is going to lift, glute squeeze, heel squeeze. Ready? So that could be a starting spot if you're struggling with that coordination. And then it would be inhale, exhale, core lifts, glute squeeze. Again, my core needs to stabilize my spine as my legs move in an opposite direction, right? All right, last one to cover. Let's cover standing single leg squat. So I believe I showed with the heel kickstand, so you don't have to worry so much about the balance aspect of it. You can definitely do this next to a wall if you need some extra hand support as you're balancing. But the key is we're going to be working on this outer glute, because if that hip dips, that means we're not using this outer glute to stabilize our pelvis, right? So we want that pelvis to stay neutral as we're lowering and coming back up to a stand. So things to look at, or maybe videotape yourself, is what is happening at the knee. Usually if we're weak, that knee is going to translate in, and so you want to track straight. Now, if you find going down even to a full squat is really hard, if you have a higher surface that you can just squat to and work on proper form first, or you can even just do a standing squat. So a modified lower intensity version of that could just be in standing. Maybe you're holding on to something, you're making sure the knee is tracking straight ahead as you lower, inhale. Pelvic floor lengthens. Remember, the pelvic floor needs to lengthen so that the sits bones can widen to allow that squat to happen straight back. I've been talking about the hinge a lot lately. Okay, so inhale, lengthen. Exhale from the bottom. Now I'm thinking about lifting from this area, like that's where I'm starting to push through the heel and bring the glutes back up, not thrusting forward, not this. Just a nice glute squeeze, and the glutes and the core come together. And that's more of a culmination of all those foundational things we just did, right? Lying on your side, the prone heel squeeze, where we're coordinating what does that look like when these things work together.